Well, good evening, folks. My name is Mike Beam. I'm the Director of Planning and Engineering here for the South Dakota DOT. Thanks for coming tonight and being interested in engaging transportation. We actually love it and we're very excited about it. Hopefully you are too. Think about it. Is there anything in this room that wasn't brought by transportation? There isn't, right? So we get a chance to impact lives every day. And our vision is to make better lives through better transportation. We take it seriously and we love what we do. So maybe you have to deal with us for a little bit talking about how exciting a road or a bridge is, but these things are really important for us. And hopefully you get to see the fruits of those labor, whether you're hauling grain from the field or you're buying something from Amazon and wait for that package to show up the next day. Our transportation system is second to none. So thanks again for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. Want to make a few brief introductions. We have Representative Rocky Blair from District 21 here with us tonight. Representative, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. We also have Steve Schoenweber from the Rail Board Commission. Steve's around. He was here earlier. Oh, Steve must have stepped out. And Kirk Van Rokel from our Federal Highway Administration. Thanks for coming tonight, Kirk. Appreciate it. So the meeting tonight is going to be recorded. We're also streaming on Facebook Live and also on Zoom. So we got a lot of different things going right now and trying to get more engagement, because we look at the transportation system. It's not the DOT's transportation system, it's the public's. We want to get that input. What issues are you seeing out there? How can we get better tomorrow than we are today? So that's going to be a focus of tonight's a focus really of our mission as a department is always making that continual improvement, again, trying to make those better lives through better transportation. This is the first of 4 meetings that we hold throughout the state. So if you'd like to, you can log on to Zoom or Facebook next week and enjoy Aberdeen or Mitchell or Rapid City as well. Or you can even take a trip out there too, pump a little fuel in the vehicle and maybe help to increase the funds needed to build those roads and bridges. But in all reality, it's important for us to hear from folks and have good conversations. So it'll be a brief presentation. I'll start off, then I'll hand it over to Jason. Then we want to have a good time or a good opportunity for question and answer and just good conversation about what issues you're seeing out there. Again, how can we improve? Our DOT team here tonight, I want to just introduce Mark Leiferman. He's our project development engineer. We have Levi Briggs. He's running all the technology. He puts the whole package together for us. So Levi does a heck of a job with that. Craig Smith, he's our operations engineer. So you can think Craig works with his team to make sure the roads are safe and plowing and also construction activities as well. We have John Vilbrand from the Mobridge area. John's in the teal shirt back there, and Doug Sherman from Winter. Dean couldn't make it tonight. He's ill, but we've got Jason who can fill in for him. So if there's any questions around the Pierre area, Jason's here as well. Hopefully a chance to do a little walk around, take a look at all the information we have along the wall. And also on the back table, there's some great information for local governments or other partners about how we can improve transportation, not just on the state highway system, but that interconnected system that we enjoy today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation off. And I think all of us know that in order to build or maintain any road or any transportation system, you need something and we need the money, right? So money is definitely a major component of building and maintaining highways. Recently, Federal Highway Administration, actually Congress, passed a bill. The bill was the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The IIJA, or that federal bill, actually is going to provide about $350 billion of funding for transportation nationwide over the next 5 years. It's a huge investment. For South Dakota, that's going to be about $375 million that we're going to be able to pour in each year into the transportation system. It's vitally important because about 75% of the funds we use to build and maintain roads come from the federal government. So knowing and having a good indication where those funding levels are going to be into the future helps us to plan accordingly. It helps us to make sure that the transportation system we're building tomorrow is going to last for future generations, and also helps us to plan out 5-6 years for future reconstruction projects. Those take time to develop. So as we look over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, we're excited to see a bill in place, a good federal bill, a solid bill that's going to help, again, improve transportation. So as we think about transportation and how do we work, you know, the most fundamental thing that we focus on at the DOT is safety. Without safety, we don't have anything. So as we look at safety, we want to focus on a few areas. The trend line on the top is our serious injury crashes that we've seen since 2008. So pretty much the last 14 years. The bottom line is the number of fatalities. Those are people that didn't make it home from their travels. We've seen some tremendous growth and seen some tremendous numbers regarding our serious injury crashes, drop in our serious injury crashes. You can see that trend line continues to go down. Our goal is to have 400 or less serious injury crashes by the end of 2023. It's a lofty goal, but we feel like we can make it. As we look at the fatal crashes, unfortunately, we saw an increase in 2020 and 2021. And it wasn't just isolated to South Dakota. We saw that trend nationally. Unfortunately, we saw folks who were driving faster than they should be, impaired driving, and a lot of crashes that were behavior related that caused more fatalities across our state. Just over the last 2 or 3 days, I've seen some crash reports or some crash notifications from DPS involving cross center line crashes, tragedies. They've taken people's lives and changed others' lives. So I always have this opportunity. I want to take advantage of it. As you're on that roadway, wear your seatbelt, pay attention to what you're doing. Obviously, intoxicated or impaired driving is just something that shouldn't happen. It's not your life that you're only taking into your hands, but it's the other people in the other lane. It's a family. It's my family heading over to Sioux Falls or wherever I'm going. So please share the message. Please make sure you're sharing the message with others to drive safe. It's not just your hands and your lives. With that, as we look at crashes, and I talked earlier about the behavior element that we see with crashes, we've been focusing a lot on infrastructure improvements or highway improvements that really aren't necessarily for the highway. They're for the driver, behavior aspects. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, the center line rumble strips. Those are going right down the center of our rural roads, usually under higher volumes. If you drove here tonight, you likely drove on a highway that has center line rumble strips. The only purpose behind those is to warn that driver that's crossing into the other lane that you're crossing into the other lane. The graph that we have in the the numbers that we have indicated on the left-hand side over there show that we're seeing significant reduction in those type of crashes with installations such as the center line rumble strip. Now, I'll acknowledge sometimes they're a little bit annoying. Our team's done work to put in features like a sinusoidal rumble strip or mumble strip, really a strip you can't hear if you're outside of the vehicle. But in the vehicle, it'll shake you. It'll make sure that you're aware of what your surroundings are. In the upper right-hand corner, it's a treatment that we call high friction surface treatment. And we got 2 seasons here in South Dakota, construction and winter. So our high friction surface treatments, we essentially, you can see in the lower right-hand corner, there's an application of an epoxy or a glue. We take a very, very hard aggregate, very abrasive aggregate, and glue it to that roadway. What that's helped with is our winter-related crashes, especially around curves and on some bridges. Our numbers have indicated about an 80% reduction when we installed those in certain areas throughout our state. They're expensive, so they're not for everywhere. But we do see an indication of potential winter-related crashes. It's an area for us to be able to focus on. The lower left-hand corner, I think we're all familiar with the shoulder rumble strips. If you aren't, you're an excellent driver, and I should applaud you, and I do applaud you for that. But I know I've hit plenty of shoulder rumble strips, maybe take my eye off the road for a half a second, or I get hit in the head with a ball from one of the kids in the back seat, but we've all hit them. The reason for that, the #1 fatal crash that we have in South Dakota is a single vehicle runoff roadway. That's our #1 fatal crash. The reduction numbers that we've seen from those roadway departure crashes, about 20%. It may not be 90%, but still 20% more people that are making it home every night. Still a part of our community in our state of South Dakota. Now, it's great having a safe system, but if it's not reliable, that's a problem for us. For me, I measure distance and time when I travel South Dakota. I don't necessarily know the mileage between Pierre and Rapid City. I know it's going to take me about 2 hours and 35 minutes, but I measure distance and time, and we all do. That's because we have a very reliable transportation system. So as you look at reliable transportation systems, we're focusing on new innovations. In the upper left-hand corner is a diverging diamond interchange. For those of you that have been in Sioux Falls before, the 41st Street interchange, you know that it's pretty tough to take a left when you're coming off the ramp. Things really get buggered up. So by looking at a different type of interchange configuration, we can help move that traffic more efficiently, more reliable for folks traveling every day. And it's also a safer situation. If you don't have the 511 app, which is in the middle, that's a cell phone, I highly suggest you get it. Again, transportation systems being reliable. Hopefully you're using this app when you're traveling in the winter or in the summer during construction season to see what's coming up. Where is the construction planned? How can I make sure that I plan my trip accordingly? In the winter, obviously, that's where we see our most hits. People are interested about what the road conditions are. Am I going to be able to get to my destination? This has been a tremendous opportunity for us to be able to share that information with our travelers and again, help make our roads safe, but make it a reliable transportation system. In the upper right-hand corner, I'm sure everybody's seen them. Those are our dynamic message boards. These flash messages, think Thursday messages, you probably see them every Thursday. It might be a little goofy sometimes, but the intent is to catch your attention for one, but also make you think about your driving behavior and sharing that with others. We also use it to inform folks of closures, crashes, things of that nature, real-time information right on site in order to help make that system reliable and safer. In the lower left-hand corner is something we don't have a lot of in South Dakota is congestion. So our interpretation, or my interpretation of congestion, is a lot different than folks that maybe live in LA or Minneapolis. But still, congestion is congestion. We get frustrated when we see congestion. So we're working with our partners with the city, whether it's at the 41st Street diverging diamond or La Crosse Street interchange, again, trying to reduce that congestion, get people to where they need to be in a time that they feel appropriate. So having a reliable system and a safe system is great, but we need physical assets. We need physical things out there in order to make that transportation system work. I really like this map. It's just a picture of the bridges in South Dakota. Every single one of those blue dots is a bridge. And you can actually see the main river systems and the tributaries that tie into them, whether it's the Jim River or the Big Sioux. The sheer number of structures that we have in South Dakota is a little daunting for the number of people that actually reside in South Dakota. We have over 5,700 publicly owned structures or bridges in South Dakota. That's a huge, huge investment. We're working with our local government partners. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we need to have an interconnected transportation system. It doesn't do us any good to grow grain in the back quarter if we can't get it to market. It doesn't do us any good to live in a house if we don't live on the street and can't get to where we need to go. So working with our local government partners, whether it's through the Bridge Improvement Grant Program or a local federal aid bridge program, again, trying to improve structures across our state, not just on the state highway system, recognizing that interconnectedness of our transportation system. As we look more at the state highways, we need to remember that, unfortunately, assets age. And when assets age, you'll have a good chance to take a look at one when you step out the door here tonight with a replacement of the Lieutenant Commander John C. Waldron Bridge, the Pierre 4-Pier Bridge, as some of us call it. You can see on this graph the relatively large number of structures that we have in that 45 to 70 years old. Coincides very well with the build of the interstate system and the Federal Aid Highway Act. There was a lot of infrastructure built in that time frame. We've done a tremendous job as a department maintaining and really preserving those structures over time, with over 95% of our bridges in good to fair condition. So we're in a good position now, but like every asset, whether it's a 1984 Chevy pickup that you got, at some point in time, it's no longer feasible for us to maintain those. So we're working to flatten that curve and do those bridge replacements earlier. And also we don't run into that bigger problem 8, 10, 12, 15 years down the road. We're also trying to focus on good long-term solutions with our bridges. The picture in the upper left-hand corner, it's what we call riprap or rock. Everybody should be familiar with it. You see it around structures. But if we can improve the reliability during flood times, which we saw some of those in 2019, especially along the I-90 corridor near Mitchell, if we can improve the reliability and plan for those higher events, it improves our resiliency as a state. It also reduces the cost of a bridge being replaced. Now instead, we have an overtop on a roadway. Roadways are a lot easier to fix than a bridge. The upper right-hand corner, that's one of our drones or our unmanned aerial systems, and we deployed them throughout our state. They're mainly used for our bridge inspection purposes. The drones have been very, very efficient and very effective for us to be able to actually visually inspect our structures across our state. Time savings, better quality. Deploying technology like this is allowing us to be more agile and again, deliver that better transportation system. The lower right-hand corner, that's steel, but it's a different type of reinforcing steel. Historically, a long time ago, we used just essentially black steel on our bridge decks. For all of us that live in South Dakota, the upper Midwest, we know that we need to add a little chlorides, a little bit of salt in the winter to get that ice cut off the road. Black steel and salt and water really don't mix. So we transitioned over time to epoxy, essentially plastic coating over our rebar. We're still having issues, especially in our bridge decks where a lot of that salt and water penetrates down into the concrete. So what you see there is actually a stainless steel. And again, we anticipate this is going to give us about a 20% life cycle reduction in the cost overall of that bridge. And it's not just about the cost. It's the fact that we're not going to have to be out there nearly as often either doing the rehabilitation. Yes, it's got a higher upfront cost, but in the same sense, it's got a better longer term investment. So as we're looking at a bridge to last us 75 to 100 years, again, we're trying to focus on those opportunities to really preserve the integrity of that structure over time. And we wouldn't be anywhere, of course, without our pavements. So I need to talk about our pavements a little bit. Again, a historical look of where we've been and where we're heading. The blue indicates pavements in excellent condition, green is good, yellow is fair, and red is poor. Our target level is to have about 80% of our pavements at any year in a good to excellent condition. You can see where our trend line has been and where we anticipate that trend line to be into the future. We're maintaining our pavements in a very good condition. And our intent to do that, or our intention to maintain that 80% level, is focused on the highest return of investment. It's important for us to know that some roads just need to be replaced, just like some bridges. So we're always going to have some of those pavements in that poor condition. But if we can do improvements and not so costly improvements early on before that pavement gets to be in poor condition, we save time, we save effort, and we also save a lot of money when it comes down to it. And it's not just using our pavement management system and our really neat spider van, if you ever want to take a look at it, but it's looking at other innovations for how can we build those roads better for the future. Upper left-hand corner, that's actually for us to be able to do some thermal imaging and really to help us to improve our roller patterns on our asphalt. We know if we hit it during a certain temperature range, we can increase the density that asphalt mat has, therefore giving us a longer durability on that pavement. The upper right-hand side, that's just an asphalt wedge joint. The weakest part of a pavement is actually where they come together in the middle. That's the center part. So what we're working on is different ways to tie that together so we had a stronger adhesion between the two asphalt mats, therefore making that pavement last longer. Lower right-hand corner is some next generation concrete pavement that we've done. Again, looking at technology, finding ways to make a better product at the end, also a longer useful life for it. I know I went through a lot of information there about our transportation system. I know you can tell that I'm excited about it and that I love it, but we all have that passion within the department, and it's something that we share, and it's a good thing. So I hope you're proud that the people that are helping to make your roads good are passionate about it. I'm going to turn it over to Jason. He's going to talk a little bit about projects within the region, and then I'll come back up to get to the most important part, hearing from you tonight and what your thoughts about the transportation system could be. So Jason.
Thanks, Mike. So again, my name is Jason Humphrey. I'm the Pierre Region Engineer. Pierre Region, just a little bit of demographics. Pierre Region consists of the 17 counties in the central third portion of the state. The counties that are identified here on your screen. Going to go through the project, a high level overview of the projects that we have coming up in the Pierre region over the course of the next 4 years. Before I do that, I want to once again introduce the area engineers that are here tonight, and one of them is not here tonight. In the northern part of the region, John Vilbrandt is our Mobridge area engineer. He'll be able to answer any questions basically from Highway 212 north, central part of the state. Dean Bandwilly is our Pierre area engineer. So between Highway 212 and Interstate 90, that's kind of his general boundaries of his area. He's ill tonight, so he's not able to join us, but if you have any questions about projects in that part of the state, I'll be happy to answer those for you. And then in the southern portion of the state, from I-90 South, Doug Sherman is our winter area engineer, and he'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have from down in that part of the country. So over the course of the next 4 years, just in the Pierre region alone, we're going to have approximately $430 million worth of improvements to our infrastructure. That's a big number. I mean, that's larger than we've ever had for this portion of the state. The totals for each of the 4 major types of work are broken out on the screen. Typically, we look at grading projects, servicing projects, bridge projects, and then safety and other miscellaneous pavement preservation types of projects. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to go through each one of those categories one by one and give you another look at that. But before I do, I want to note that on the screen, we have a interactive STIP map. It's a picture of all the projects that we have going, and this is color coded to identify all of the different years that work is going to be taking place. So for example, the projects highlighted in purple are 2023 projects, in red 2024, green 2025, and then blue is going to be the 2026 project. But we'll go through each one of those categories here at this point. So starting off, I want to talk about our bridge projects. We have approximately $61 million worth of bridge projects in our current STIP. Of that consists state and local projects. So I won't go through each one of the numbers, but each one of the stars on the map indicates the approximate location of a bridge project that we have currently identified in our STIP. So we can show we have a wide distribution of a lot of different projects scattered over those 4 years. Moving now into the servicing and resurfacing projects, as well as our grading projects. In 2023, we have 21 resurfacing projects. All of the projects that we have identified in the Pierre region are going to be asphalt resurfacing projects that I'm going to focus on here. So I won't say it's an asphalt resurfacing project or because they're pretty much all going to be asphalt. But we have 21 projects totaling about 148 miles and approximately $75 million worth of work coming up in fiscal year 23. Now, I'm not going to go through each one of those because you can look at the map and see which projects are highlighted in purple, but three of the significant projects that we have identified, first of all, is item number 12. And if you look at your STIP list, you can follow along and get a little bit more information about each one of these particular projects. The numbers that I'll be highlighting are on the left-hand side of the page, and you can follow along and identify which projects I'm looking at. But project 12 is an asphalt resurfacing project going north and west from Eagle Butte. Project number 28 is a resurfacing project between White River and Wood. And then project number 37 is actually a asphalt surfacing project that's going to surface the newly constructed Highway 47 going north of Hoban. That's a project that we've been looking at for a long time. And it's a project that honestly came about as a result of this meeting. We had a contingent from Hoban that attended for several years in a row saying this project needs to happen. This roadway needs some safety improvements. We listened, we heard that, and we have proceeded with that. Project's now under construction as we speak. So in 2023, we'll put the final surfacing on that job. Now, it's interesting to note that on this project, we'll still be grading this project in 2023, even though this project is listed as a 23 job. Some of these projects will actually be constructed in the following year. So this one will be built in 24, but in the 2023 STIP. And there's notes in your STIP list indicating which projects will be constructed the following year. Moving into grading and our reconstruction projects. In 2023, we have two projects totaling about $17 million. The first being Highway 12 up by Morristown. It's a 12-mile project. And the second project is a smaller erosion control and slider repair type project near Hayes, west of Fort Pierre. Moving on to 2024, we have 7 projects. It's about 110 miles worth of roadway, again, $56 million worth of work. Significant projects include project number 77, which is an asphalt surfacing project on 3 separate roadways, Highway 1806, Highway 12, and Highway 63, just west of Mobridge. Then in addition to that, project number 95 is a resurfacing project extending from the city limits of Fort Pierre north on Highway 1806 to the end of Mission Ridge Road. And that project will again be just an asphalt resurfacing project. 2024 grading projects, we only have one project in this particular year. That's from Kadoka south to the White River. We'll be regrading that section. It's about just under a 10-mile project, which the following year after that in 25, we'll have the surfacing placed on that particular job, which leads me to the 2025 surfacing projects. We have 5 total projects in 2025, $47 million worth of work being invested again. In particular, project number 143 is an asphalt surfacing project going east from Eagle Butte. So you'll notice there's a lot of work happening up in that part of the country, in that part of the region, a lot of much needed work and repairs going on there. In addition to that project, we have project 147, which is an asphalt surfacing project on both eastbound and westbound I-90, going from Cactus Flats to Kadoka. And then 2025, we have 2 grading projects. The first of which is project number 141, extending from the intersection of Highway 18 and 73 east about 11 miles. So grading and interim surfacing on that. And then project 145, which is a project a lot of folks right here in Pierre are very interested in, will be reconstructing Euclid Avenue from the 5-lane down here on Sioux Avenue, all the way to the northern limits of the city of Pierre. 2026 surfacing projects. We have 4 projects in the STIP at this time, 93 miles worth of pavements. 2 of the significant jobs, one is project number 205, which is a surfacing project from Cottonwood to Phillip. And then again, project 206 on Highway 34 east of Pierre, basically from the Farm Island turnoff to the Fort George recreation area east of town. And then last but not least, for our grading in 2026, we have 3 projects for 26 miles worth of grading. Project 198 is a grading project from basically Martin west or west of Martin, extending to the west. And then project number 202 is another grading job west of Mole Bridge in the area of the casino. We have a structure and grading, approach grading project right there. So that was a lot of work going on in our grading and reconstruction arenas, but there's another area that Mike touched on, which is important to the department as well, and that's our safety projects. In the 2023 to 2026 STIP, we have approximately $40 million worth of safety improvements that we're going to be working on here. Types of projects, Mike touched on some of them, the high friction surface treatments, the asphalt chip seals. We're doing railroad crossing improvements, pedestrian walking and bike paths, pavement marking, signing projects, both on the state system and on the county system. So we have a lot of work going on just to make improvements for our travelers. 4 of the projects that we're pretty proud of and we're excited to get completed are the pedestrian walkway projects. In 2023 and 2024, we're going to be doing projects in La Plante, Wambly, right here in Pierre, and in Waukepaula. And those are very important projects to our pedestrian travelers, because not everybody drives a car. We have a lot of different modes of transportation, and we work to satisfy the needs of all of those travelers. So those are some projects that we have coming up that we're pretty excited to get completed. Some of our locals are very much excited to get those done. So with that, that is a high level overview of all the projects we have coming up over the next 4 years, and we'll be around here for a while afterwards, and Mike will be addressing any questions that we have that anybody might have. So Mike.
Thank you, Jason. We are to the most important part, which is getting input and testimony. So for those of you online, you can definitely type your questions in. We'll do our best to answer them. And also for those of you here, we do have a microphone. I would ask that you raise your hand, and then when Mark comes around the microphone, introduce yourself and who you represent. We want to do that for the record. The intent tonight is, again, get input, and we want to share that with our Transportation Commission. Our Transportation Commission, they're anticipating to take action, or we're anticipating action to be taken on the overall program throughout the state at their August meeting. So your input obviously is very important. We want to make sure we can capture that. So we're going to open things up here for public testimony. If anyone would be willing to ask a few questions or provide some input, just raise your hand and Mark will come right over. If we have any questions come up, just let me know. First one to ask a question gets a highway map. Well, as we're waiting for somebody to maybe answer or ask a question, I do just want to hit on one other item that's been a topic we've been working through. If you follow the DOT on social media, we've been trying to promote these meetings, of course, for folks to come out and attend. We're also working towards what's South Dakota Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Deployment Plan. So essentially electric vehicle charging stations, and trying to get an idea from our public what they think is important, how it could work in South Dakota. So if you get a chance, and maybe, tonight or later on, please go to www.stevplan.com. There's some great background information. There's also some survey. There's a video recording of one of our presentations, some frequently asked questions. But again, this has kind of been a topic for a lot of folks in South Dakota. And again, we're just starting the process of the planning or the plan for that. We are in a very short time frame. Congress and Federal Highway gave us until August 1st to submit the plan. Guidance just recently came out, so we've been working quite hard and learning a lot from a DOT standpoint on what electric vehicles need and where charging stations could be or how could they function. So again, just another opportunity to engage, give your thoughts and ideas for how it could work or would work in South Dakota. That'd be great. And Levi should have yep, there it is right there. Just a link on our website. You can go there too, and you can engage another opportunity. Any questions come through on social? Any comments? Anyone in the room? I brought 10 maps. All right, well, I'm going to close testimony here tonight, not seeing that we're not having anything. But this isn't our only opportunity to provide input. Again, go to our website. There's a great opportunity to email your comments and thoughts in. For those folks that couldn't make it tonight, or maybe you're sitting in with some friends or want to share the information with some friends, please go ahead and share the information on our website. That'd be great if you could do that. So if you'd go ahead and share the information, again, ask folks to engage, that'd be great. With that, I'm going to close public testimony. We're going to be around here tonight to answer any other questions. If you feel like you just want to visit or maybe share information that way, we'd love to hear from you. But we will close it here tonight. What was our final number, Mark? 19. Okay. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for sharing enthusiasm about transportation systems, and hopefully get a chance to visit afterwards. Have a great night.